So let's go through our position rankings here, and then we'll finish with the 7 rounders simulated through. Let's obviously start with the main position, the quarterback position. Who are your top 5 quarterbacks in order?
So I got Malik Willis number 1. I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett at number 2. I think some teams and some people probably have them flip-flopped a little bit, but I still think Malik Willis, just because of his ceiling, is number 1. Number 3 this is where it gets weird, but I'm actually gonna go Matt Corral here. I like Matt Corral at number 3, even though his pro day was horrible. And then I'm gonna go Desmond Ridder, number 4, and Sam Howell at number 5.
Okay. Carson Strong, probably your 6.
Yep. And then Bailey Zappa probably after that.
I like Brock. I know Brock Purdy doesn't get a lot of respect, but I have Brock Purdy probably right after Bailey Zappa, so I'm probably 7. And I like Skylar Thompson and Caleb Ellaby.
Thompson. I like Caleb Ellaby just because he's the hometown guy and I saw him play a lot. And Zappa, I mean, had ridiculous numbers and a ridiculous offense, but he also threw the ball like 75 times a game. So
I think 12 quarterbacks are getting drafted this year. That's my number. And so, obviously Strong, Zappa, Purdy, Thompson, Ellaby, and EJ Perry. Those are my quarterbacks that I have getting drafted. So my quarterbacks ranking would be Malik Willis first. Then I actually have Desmond Ridder, number 2. And then Kenny Pickett, then Matt Corral, then Sam Howell, and then Strong. So and I actually, I'm not. They all have reasonable ceilings. I'm not gonna knock on that, but their floors are just terribly low for anyone wanting to take a gamble on a quarterback, unless you're okay with them sitting down behind you for 2 years. So running back position, I'll go with my top 5 here first, and then I'm gonna say Breece Hall. I've seen the most reports about him going first round and any of the other ones. Then Isaiah Spiller, then Kenneth Walker the third, then Brian Robinson Jr., and then I'm gonna say, kind of go back and forth because I think 5, 6, 7 are all pretty close. I'm gonna say Zamir White.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this one is interesting. I will go Breece Hall number 1. I'm actually gonna go Kenneth Walker number 2. I think those can. I mean, a lot of people probably have Kenneth Walker number 1 as well. It just kind of depends. I mean, it depends on preference, in my opinion, at that point. I will go as Isaiah Spiller number 3. Then there's kind of a question mark after that. I'm gonna go Rashad. Well, let's see. I don't know. We can go back and forth here. Some of these backs I don't love at all.
It's not a strong.
No, I'll go with Zaquandre White, and then I'm actually gonna go James Cook as the last one there for Georgia, just because he's Dalvin's brother.
I mean, he's got that Dalvin ceiling, then, right?
He can catch the ball. I think someone's gonna take him late.
So you've got Brian Robinson and Zamir White out at the top 5, and you replaced it with Zaquandre Wright and James Cook.
Yep, and I think Hassan Haskins is not that far out of the top 8 or 9.
I have Haskins at 9.
Yep. So he'll get drafted. I think there's a number on it. I don't know, 10, 11, 12 get drafted probably 12.
I'm going to say 14 or 15, and that's just because I think, well, it depends on the account.
I think some of these guys will get gobbled up late. Like, you'll see.
There's going to be a bunch of 6th and 7th round ones, I think, yeah.
Right.
And I think there's going to be 2 fullbacks. So I don't know if I have to put 2 fullbacks in there, one out of Maryland, Chigoziem Okonkwo, and Connor Hayward out of Michigan State seem like 2 guys that might get drafted at fullback.
Yep, and Hayward's interesting because, I mean, he basically played tight end last year mostly. So I think somebody will take him just because, and his dad's like a Hall of Famer or something.
It could be an all Big Ten. If I think a third fullback is going in, it's Xander Horvath from Purdue. So All right, wide receiver then. Who are your top 5 of wide receiver?
I'm gonna go Drake London.
No one is the same.
Yeah, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Chris Olave, and I actually like George Pickens at number 5.
Okay.
Pickens is another one of those wild card picks, though. Obviously, we didn't have him in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if a team just fell in love with him late first round and wanted and needed a receiver. But he's been hurt so much. I think guy probably.
So my 5 is not, predicated on what I did in my mock draft. I just think some of the guys that I like are actually like more, or I think will have better NFL careers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think other teams are necessarily seeing it eye to eye like I would. Definitely doesn't make me a professional GM by any means, but there are going to be 2 guys that we didn't even put on our first round that I have at wide receiver. So I do have Drake London still first.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I actually have Christian Watson.
Okay. From North Dakota State.
Yep. Number 3, I have Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I have Jamison Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And number 5, I have Sky Moore.
I like Sky Moore.
And it goes kind of all over the place because obviously right after Sky Moore would be Olave. Then I think I would have probably Burks, then Pickens.
Yep.
Then Dotson. Then I'd probably go back and forth between, David Bell and Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really, there's a lot of guys that I think there's gonna be a ton of wide receivers drafted this year. I probably couldn't even give you a real number. I'd say close to 32 to 35.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot. It's a deep class. There's a lot of guys out there. You'd be like, yeah, I remember watching him in college, and he was good. And
yeah, I probably have Romeo Dubes from Nevada at like 20, and I think he's a pretty good wide receiver. So, tight end. I have Trey McBride from Colorado State first.
Yep.
Then I have Isaiah Likely. Then I have Greg Dulcich.
Yep.
Then I have Charlie Kolar.
Yep.
And then I have Jelani Woods.
Okay. Yep. I actually have the exact same order. I'm sorry. I switched Dulcich and Kolar around.
Okay.
So Trey McBride, I think, is pretty consensus number 1. This is not a great tight end class, let's be honest.
There's a lot of people that say there's a bunch of tight end talent for like 3rd and 4th round, but yeah, the fact that
yeah, I mean, there's a few guys in
there. Trey McBride is the best, and I think he's a late 2nd.
Yep. So it's not a great class. Probably one of the worst tight end classes we've seen in a while, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because we've had some high end talent at tight end.
It's been probably since 2020. The 2020 was pretty bad. That was the one where a lot of people even had Hunter Bryant, the Lions undrafted tight end, as the number 2 on the big board.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet went that year, Adam Troutman. But I think other than that, that's a pretty rough class.
Yep.
All right. So offensive tackle, who are your top 5?
I have Evan Neal, Iquanu, Charles Cross. After this, it gets a little bit more difficult from a tackle standpoint. Let's see. Back and forth a little bit, but I'll go Trevor Penning next. And then 5.
Yep.
I'll go Bernard Raymond.
All right. Yep. So you have all of my 5 just kind of in a little bit of a different order. I have Iquanu as the best one. Then I have Neal, then I have Cross, and then I have Penning, and then I have Raymond. So we just flipped Neal and Iquanu.
Cool.
I think if I go to 6, I still, Tyler Smith, I don't hate. Tyler Smith can also play guard. Daniel Fiale from Minnesota is not bad. Petit Frere outside of the Michigan game, getting tossed in his behind millions of times. He probably could have been a 1st-round pick if he didn't have that film. And then I think even Abraham Lucas is a guy that might get pulled into that 1st round even. So it just kind of depends on the way the cards shake out. But it's, to me, at those first 8 guys are all guys that could have first round tags on them in any given year.
I would agree. Yep.
So do you want to mix interior linemen together, or do you have guard and center separate? I have guard and center separate on mine, but I can.
I mixed them, but I mean it's up to you.
Okay, we'll just mix them then. I'll figure out. I'll try to BS that mesh a second. So, I actually would say I have Tyler Linderbaum first.
Yep.
Compared to the guards, I think he's just more of a surefire. I think he's just a really great center. So obviously we didn't do it that way in our mock. But I'm going to put Linderbaum first. Then I'm going to say Zion Johnson. Then I'm going to say Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
Then I will go. Oh, I really like Jamaray Salyer from Georgia.
Yep. Good. It's another Georgia guy.
Yep. Yeah, they're all over the place. Then I think so. I've done 4 of them or 5? Yeah, 4.
Those 4.
And so 5, I'm kind of back and forth. Like, I really like. I probably couldn't Darian Kennard or Dylan Parham, but I also kind of go back and forth on Sean Rion and Luke Gadicki.
Mm-hmm.
So, guy, I'm gonna put Kennard as number 5.
Okay. Yeah, I like Kennard.
Ed Ingram's pretty good too, dogs.
I mean, there's some dudes on this, especially at it's the interior. I even like later, like Cam Jurgens.
Nebraska, yeah.
Yeah, he's nasty. I mean, I think he's a tough guy. So yeah, I mean, there's some good interior offensive linemen. I have Linderbaum 1, Zion Johnson 2, Kenyon Green. And then I'm gonna go Tyler Smith.
Okay, so I Tyler Smith as a tackle, but I can see Tyler Smith being an NC.
Yeah, I just had him listed on inside. And then I'm gonna go Dylan Parham at number 5.
I would put Tyler Smith there at 4 if I move him into the inside. I think that's how the tackle position is just a little.
He's a swing guy. He could play them both.
Yeah. All right. Edge rush. Who do you have in your top 5?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a different order. Apparently, everybody's got a different order.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go Aiden Hutchinson, number 1. He's
bias. No bias.
What?
There's no bias.
There's no bias.
I think he legitimately is the best one too.
I do too. Because I think he's got the highest floor.
I think he's got the best attitude. He's got the work ethic. He's got, he's Kyle Vandenbosch, but I think even more talented. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Vandenbosch, but he's got the motor.
I would agree. I will go Trayvon Walker, number 2. I'll go Thibodeau, number 3. Jermaine Johnson, number 4. And then probably Karlaftis, number 5. I think there's a bit of a drop-off after that. I actually like Ojabo above Boye Mafe, but I think Mafe has a good chance to get picked above him now. I think Ojabo is in the top 5 if he didn't get.
If he's not hurt, if he's not hurt, I think I'd probably have him at 5 if he wasn't hurt.
Yep, and then I do like Arnold Ebiketie, Cameron Thomas even from San Diego State's good. Josh Pascal.
There's 2 guys that really felt like. Well, one guy didn't really fall, but he doesn't get enough. Kingsley Egnabare from South Carolina.
Yeah.
I like him. He's getting a lot of 3rd round grades.
Yeah.
But he put up actually pretty good numbers in plays that he was in and how often he got pressure. And then, Myjai Sanders also out of Cincinnati is another guy that kind of fell. He was considered to be a mid to late first, probably 4 months ago. And now he's 3rd round.
Yep. Definitely. So, I think it's interesting, but there's a lot of talent at edge. I do think it falls off a little bit after the top 5, but there's some talent there for sure.
And then I think it takes even a further fall after probably I have Mafe and Ebiketie and Ojabo, outside of the 5 at 6, 7, and 8. And then because then you get maybe Cam Thomas is pretty good. Paschal isn't bad. And that's where I probably put Myjai and Egnabare and Tyreek Smith.
Yep.
And then I guess you could say Nick Benito is considered an edge rusher now. So he's in that.
So I have Aiden from Houston, I think is got a good chance to get drafted.
Luigi Vallon.
He'll go.
Yeah, he will.
Late.
I mean, but Zach Van Valkenburg will also go, I think.
Yep.
And then Myron Tagovailoa Amosa from Notre Dame. So I have Aiden Hutchinson. Then I actually have Kayvon Thibodeau at 2, then Trayvon Walker, and then Jermaine Johnson, then Karlaftis. Yeah, like I said, I'd probably, even right now, I'd still put Mafe ahead of Ojabo, but then or Ebiketie after Ojabo and so on. So interior defensive line, I've got and this is different because there's a couple people that also have Logan Hall as an edge rusher.
Yep.
But I have him interior on mine. I'm still gonna say Jordan Davis, number 1, and then Devontae Wyatt, 2. Then I'm going to say DeMarvin Leal.
Okay.
Out of A&M. Then Perrion Winfrey, and then Travis Jones, and then that's where I have Logan Hall right at 6, kind of on the outside looking in with Fedarian Mathis.
Yep. I'm gonna go Jordan Davis number 1, Devontae Wyatt number 2. I'm gonna go Travis Jones number 3, and then Leal number 4, and then Winfrey number 5.
Okay.
But Fedarian Mathis, you hear his name a lot.
Thomas Booker out of Stanford, I hear a little bit too.
Yeah.
Zachary Carter.
You got, I'm sure Haskell Garrett will get some buzz.
Yeah.
Matt Henningsen from Wisconsin as well. So there's some guys there.
I'm crossing my fingers for small school Eric Johnson for the Lions in like the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Right. I know some teams are higher on Christopher Hinton even than others. He's actually moved up on a few draft boards I've seen. So I think he'll get taken, but probably in the 5th or 6th. So
yeah. Neil Farrell Jr. is another guy I've seen. So outside linebacker, who's your guy? Well, do you want to mix linebackers in together?
I had a mixed again, but Devin Lloyd's my number 1. Nakobe Dean's my number 2, followed closely by Quay Walker. And then I had Chad Muma number 4, and then Christian Harris number 5. Leo Chenal's right there at 6 as well.
It's a good one. Yeah, this is
a pain in the butt when you played Wisconsin.
Man, now I've got to try to, I don't know why I did extra work for myself organizing about outside and inside linebacker, because they can really probably.
A lot of these guys can play both anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Devin Lloyd first.
Yep. Okay.
Talent wise, again, like I talked about it, our draft, I think Nakobe Dean is talented. I just don't think he fits enough team schemes where he may get picked ahead of some other guys.
I think Devin Lloyd might be a top 10 talent depending on the year.
Yeah, I as well. Yeah. Devin Lloyd to me is pretty significantly first. Yeah. And then I actually would say Nakobe Dean is second. Quay Walker, 3, 4. I'm gonna say, this is funny. Another Channing Tindall.
Okay.
Then Chad Muma. I've seen a lot of Asamoah. I've seen Troy Anderson, Damone Clark, and Chenal, Christian Harris. All those guys kind of hang out in that range too. Terrell Bernard, if the Lions can figure out a way to get him in the 4th round, he is Jalen Reeves maybe even better.
All right.
So that's my thought. So corner, I'm going to go Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley Jr., Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth Jr.
Okay.
Then, and it's kind of there's a couple guys, Elam's one of them. Kyler Gordon is in there. I put Tariq Woolen in there, and then Roger McCreary. Also, I've seen a lot of. It could really go a lot of ways, man. Kobe Bryant could sneak in there. Marcus Jones. Yeah. Those are my 5, but there's a couple of guys I like right outside that 5 too.
Yeah. I'll go Ahmad Gardner and then Stingley, and then I will go Trent McDuffie, and then I'll go Booth and then Elam. But I like Kyler Gordon. I like Woolen. Alontae Taylor, even I've seen him.
Oh, yeah. Tennessee. Yeah.
I think those top five, and then maybe mix in like a Woolen or a Gordon in there, depending on what a team really wants or likes, if they really like one of them. I think that's kind of the way it'll go, just kind of beyond the top two, it might just kind of mix up order a little bit. And then from there is a bit of a fall off. But even guys like Cam Taylor-Britt, I think those guys are mid-round guys.
Caleb Evans is another one. Yeah, Monteric Brown, Martin Emerson.
So it's not a terrible corner class. It's certainly got like some star power right at the top there. It's not overwhelmingly deep. We've seen deeper classes, but this is a pretty good class.
Mm-hmm. And then for safety, I'm assuming you also have them together too. I have Free and Strong separate.
Yeah, I have them together.
Okay.
Kyle Hamilton's my number one still. I actually have Dexon Hill as my number two. But we've kind of talked about like where does he fit? That kind of depends on, with the order of the draft. Then I'm gonna go Lewis Seen, number three. Jaquan Brisker is my fourth safety. And then after that, it's a little bit more difficult, but I'm gonna go Jalen Petrie at number 5 from Baylor. Brian Cook has been up there too. But after that, it kind of falls off. I think there's 4 very good safeties in this class, and then I'm not as high on some of the guys later. So JT Woods is even up there a little bit from Baylor as well. They have two good safeties in this, but
I think you pretty much said my safety order if I was doing this. Again, I have them separate, so I'm trying to put them together in my own head right now. But yeah, I think to me, it's Hamilton. And I know you said Daxton Hill too. I'm kind of going back and forth on if I'm going to flip-flop Seen and Hill.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of purely preference. Obviously,
Seen almost came to Michigan too. Almost.
That would have been something else.
Yeah.
At least to give Brad Hawkins a chance to get drafted.
Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, I'm going to say Hamilton, and I'm going to say Seen and Hill just to be different. Then Jaquan Brisker 4, and then I'd still probably put Petrie first, and then I thought about Verone McKinley the third. Dane Belton, Percy Butler, Nick Cross. Obviously, you talked about Brian Cook and Kirby Joseph and Tyson Anderson and Reed Blankenship. There's guys. And Nolan Turner too. So yeah, I like a couple of those guys. And I think that pretty much covers it. Do you have one special teams guy that you're relatively high on?
Oh, one guy. I mean,
Matt Ariza's, I think, going to get drafted.
I think Ariza's going to get picked. That's the only guy I can say for sure is going to get picked, though.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, you're looking at a fly like on a kicker, whether it's Burkich or Cameron Dicker.
I don't think there's a guy out there. I mean, occasionally you'll see
I think Jake Camarda can do kick and punt, so he might.
Yeah, if they can do both, that helps.
Jordan Stout from Penn State. You always got to get a thick punter.
Yeah, you why not?
Penn State's loaded with thick punters.
Exactly. I think that's a requirement to punt there.
Joey, Big Joe.
Yeah. I mean, you could I remember, I don't know if you ever heard Pat McAfee tell a story about when he was drafted, but he was a kicker at West Virginia. He never punted, and they drafted him, and they're like, "Yeah, you're going to be our punter." And he's like, "Sweet." And
we already have Mike Vanderjack.
He's like, he was all excited, and he's like, "Sweet, that's awesome." And then didn't really pay attention to what was said. And then his dad was like, "You don't even know how to punt." And he's like, "Wait, why did they say I'm a punter?" So it was this whole thing about how he had to basically go out to his high school field and learn how to punt.
I imagine that there's probably a lot of these guys that can just pick up a football and do it. I mean, we've seen if a punter gets hurt, the place kicker steps in as the backup punter almost unanimously.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I'm sure they're